Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and we've got an incredible show for you today. This is the Dawg Pound. Oh, I need some intro music. Okay, a special guest today, one of the top sales people in history in the automotive industry. Piazza Honda, Springfield, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. The slacker only sold 92 cars last month. But you sold as many as 140 in a month. Is that true, Frank?
154, but who's counting? To me, it should have
Oh,
been
yeah. Who's
200.
counting?
Should have
Who's
been 200
counting?
that month. Yep.
154 cars in a single month, 92 last month with a chip shortage, supply shortage. This guy is rocking and rolling. He's ignoring the rumors. Frank Crinite, we're going to share a lot of his secrets today. And directly from Spain, where are you at in Spain, Max?
I'm in Marbella, Spain, southeast, right by Africa.
Oh, okay. Max Zanan, the mad Russian, the king of reinsurance.
It's safe to say it now.
Okay, yeah, yeah. People should have backed off the mad Russian thing. Okay, and from the Horn Automotive Group in Phoenix, Arizona, bubble of sunshine here, bright, versatile, intelligent woman, April Simmons. Hi, kid.
Hey everyone, thanks. Good to see y'all today. Missed last week. I was in Alaska. Talk about a change going from the desert to the north, but it was great. It was great to put a jacket on. I'm back and sweating as all can be. It's about 114 or something crazy. It's hot.
Now you were in Atlanta, excuse me, Alaska. Why?
Vacation. My husband and I, we had our anniversary and we went on a cruise. And if you haven't done an Alaskan cruise, I highly, highly, highly recommend. It was amazing. Amazing.
It's on
I
my
never
list.
had a desire to go to Alaska.
We went on a cruise, and if you haven't done an Alaskan cruise, I
Who's got their speaker reverberating there?
highly recommend. It was amazing. Amazing. Cruise, I highly
Somebody's speakers are feeding back. Okay, no problem. Whoever speakers are feeding back, we'll get that all handled. I never had the desire to go to Alaska. I mean, is that good?
I loved it. I loved it. I love nature though, so I love being on the ocean. I love, the wildlife. We saw humpback whales, we saw orcas, we saw bald eagles, bears. Like you just get to see everything. And I love being out on whether it's a lake or a river or an ocean. Like that's just my jam. So this was kind of the best of all worlds. Plus, you get to eat
I have been to every state and I have caught ups in every state. I have desk deals in every state. I have done F&I in every state except Alaska.
Well, you got to make a change. It should be on your bucket list. Like, go desk a deal. We'll find a dealership.
I think it'll remain on my bucket list. But okay, the car business. Max, what's the hot news in the car business this week? Anything shaking?
No, listen, I think, we're witnessing complete insanity, right? With Ford, with GM, trying to be Tesla, trying to be this, trying to be that. Nobody wants to be true to their, real skill set. To me, Ford is F-150. GM is a Silverado, right? It's not an electric BS, that they're trying to sell to everybody. So in that respect, I think Toyota and Honda are the smartest in their approach, right? Because they're not going full electric, right? They're going hybrid. They're going slow and steady, and I think that's what the consumers really want. The range anxiety is there, the affordability issue is there. So I think I would put my money on Toyota and Honda.
Okay, speaking of Honda, Frank, what's shaking in the car business?
Just about everything, man. It's all positivity, and we're booming over here. So we need cars. So my job is flipped from not just selling a billion cars. It's more important to be able to buy cars right now than it is sell cars, right? Because you're going to sell pretty much everything you have, right? So you need more of the inventory. So I spend probably half my day prospecting and buying cars, not just selling cars. So
You bought 15 cars last month. Is that
mhm.
the right number?
Yeah, should be able to buy hopefully somewhere between 30 and 40 going into August or more. So just need to keep ramping it up.
Well, what strategy are you using to get the cars?
It's just same strategy I'm using to sell cars, reaching out to my people, Facebook, my previous customers, all the clout that I have in the community and the car business through wholesalers or whoever needs to get rid of cars. It doesn't make a difference. If you want to sell a car and the numbers are right, we're going to buy it from you. So,
So one thing about Frank Crinite, and I would imagine when I was a salesperson before I became a manager, when my focus job was selling cars, I was engaged 100% of the time. Yeah, I was either on the phone, in front of a customer, or on the toilet. There was no other place I could be. I mean, how many salespeople do we see today that are not 100% engaged with their time?
no, listen, that just means it's. I don't want to say they don't treat it as a career, but it's to me this is life, right? This is what we're doing. So I'm not selling cars. I'm not selling a product. People are saying, hey, what happens when you go electric? What happens when you do this? Well, I'm still just going to solve problems for people. Like that's what it is. Doesn't matter what the product is or where the business is going. If I sit here and listen to everything the manufacturer told me, we would have been selling flying cars already, right? So I don't pay attention. Shut the news off. Shut down the blogs on the internet and just be positive and solve problems for everybody, and all the rest of the stuff goes away, right? So whatever product comes out, are you going to fight it? Like, hey, great, we have all electric cars now, we have all hybrids now. Well, that's just the way that the manufacturer thinks that the business is going. So there's no reason to fight it. Just keep solving people's problems.
I don't think anybody's fighting electric cars. I disagree with that. Or maybe somebody's fighting electric cars. Nobody on this broadcast is. It's the manufacturer's behavior toward the dealers more than the product. April, what do you see and shaking in the car business?
Well, it was great because, like Frank just said, I had a nice unplug for a week and didn't pay attention to nothing. So, but I will say that I think right now, Frank's doing the things all right. I always joke that I'm greedy. I don't care what happens. I'm always going to find a way to sell a car. And if somebody comes at me with a bad attitude or something I don't necessarily agree with, which happens a lot, I can tell you, I had one of my OEM backed reps explained to my internet department while I was gone that they should only answer the OEM leads because they're getting too many leads and they shouldn't answer the other leads. And there's these kind of things that I could just blow up about or get freaked out about. Instead, I said, those are the moments that you just smile and nod. You smile and nod and you move on because you know that we're going to come back in and we're going to answer every single lead the same way we answer their leads. We're going to take care of every single customer because we're greedy and we want to sell every single car we can. So I think Frank's got a lot of valid to, what he's saying, which is just really stay the course. Don't get caught up in the nonsense. Don't get caught up in the media. Don't get freaked out. But at the same token, pay attention, right? We do have to pay attention. My biggest fear is some of these young folks who are too new to the dealership, that when things do get to be tougher than they are now, that they won't be prepared on how to actually sell. So that's kind of my focus right now, is still training and making sure that we can prepare the staff to actually be prepared to sell when they have to actually do the work.
Well, Frank Crinite is one of my personal heroes. I don't know if he knows that or not. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah,
Thanks, Jim.
I wrote a book back in 2000 called The Prosperity Equation. And in the prosperity equation, one of the things I authored in that book is the most powerful people on earth are those people that influence the most other people. Money is just measurement. Influence is power. Oh, you got a copy of the prosperity equation right there. Yes, you do.
And signed by you, Jim, back in, 2002.
we sold like 35,000 copies of that. Well, I gave away a lot of them, but still, we put a lot of those out. But Frank is an example of the most powerful people on earth influence the most other people. How many people in your immediate circle of influence, Frank?
My immediate circle of influence is large. Like, everybody says you just want to keep it small and you want this power of five and whatever it is. Well, I get that. You want those real close people to you to be very important and people that want to level you up. But my circle of influence that I want to influence and still be influenced by is as big as possible. I want to be inside as many circles as possible. I want the Olympic rings to look like it's, thousands of Olympic rings everywhere intertwined. And I call it stranger danger, right? So back in the day, your parents would always say, stranger danger, stay away from strangers. Well, if you stay away from strangers, you're never going to grow. You're going to stay at the same perspective, same mindset, and you're just not going to grow, right? So me, I want to be the guy that's actually standing on the corner and gets kidnapped in the white van, the really weird white van, that I'm talking to so many strangers. Like, that's what it is. So I'm out meeting as many people as I can, getting, to just hear and influence as much as I can, but also keep an open mind to new, mindsets or new, ways of doing things, new businesses, opportunities that are opening up for me. So my immediate is very large and growing with positive people. The only people I keep out of my life are negative people. If you're negative
Negative,
or lazy,
on that.
I just don't get along with you. You're negative or lazy. I don't like you.
I got a theory on that. I get rid of bad people. Number one, get rid of bad people, negative people, bad people, and whatever. I don't want people in my circle that have ethics problems. Right. I don't want people in my circle that have honesty problems. But then the other people I don't want in my immediate circle of influence is people that are not relevant. I love people in China. I love people in India, but I don't need them in my social network because they can't do anything with me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I want relevant people.
You want to be the mayor, not the president. You want to be the mayor. You want to be people that everybody knows you locally or whatever, they can refer or buy to you, rather than just trying to be the most popular person in an industry or in the world that would do nothing for your particular business at this point. So that's what I preach to all the salespeople that I train right now. You don't need to be the most popular sales among other salesperson in the country. That may help feed your ego, but it's never going to grow your business or turn you into the greatest version of yourself. It just won't happen.
Exactly. Relevant people. Did you catch that, Max? He just said what I said. Relevant people. Right. Max and I have had that conversation many times about people that are relevant. And the other thing was you talked about the power of five. I have an inner circle of friends. I have a posse, but there are circles of influence that are bigger now. Frank, I'm going to keep you on for a second because you fascinate me. You reach out. Are you doing it with social media? How are you doing this?
Well, social media is one flow, right? So the most important asset to any business, right, is cash flow, right? Cash flow coming in is the most important in any business. The most important business to me is customer flow, right? So I need different flows of customers, clients, referrals, repeats coming from all different sources. So if I just say, hey, I'm this social media guru and I can teach you how to, just get customers social media, well, you're really, really limiting a salesperson, a young salesperson, or somebody who wants to learn new avenues, right? So there's always different avenues that I'm getting my customers from. So it's going out in the community, doing actual physical events. It's showing up at your cousin's wedding, right? Not just to sell cars, to make sure you're there for your cousin to have a good time, but as a byproduct of you showing up, right? People get to know, you get to know what they do. So you get inside their circles. You're very, want to know about what they're doing in their life. And as a byproduct, they get to know what you do and refer people to you, right? So this isn't just, hey, you put up a couple posts and you friend a couple people and you follow this step by step and become the most popular person in the area. You still have to be politicians, still go knock on doors. They still shake hands. They still kiss babies. Why? Because you need to be in the community that you want to serve, right? And you have to do it for the right reasons. And if you're just doing it just to go to your cousin's wedding and sell cars, it'll never work out, right? So yes, social media is one of the biggest places that I can speak from a stage, right? Rather than doing the one-on-one, but one-on-one and local networking, marketing, being able to drive business to yourself. Repeat referral business is like a big thing in the car business, but you need to be able to manufacture your own business out of thin air right now, right? And
How many
that's really what
salespeople
we're
do
doing.
we know that don't manufacture their own business? I mean, they wait for
95%.
Jump in there a second, Max.
95%, and I think that's a conservative estimate.
Now that's an accurate number. I mean, you got statistics to back that up, right? 90. Did you reach out behind you and just pull that number out of your anatomy? Where did you get that number?
I mean, listen, I've been doing this long enough to know that 95% is pretty conservative. You know, people choose the path of least resistance, and I think what Frank is saying is only true if you make a decision that this is your career. Right? If you don't make that ultimate decision and you think this is something I'm going to do temporarily, this is a gig before I become a doctor, a lawyer, or whoever else, you know, you're never going to make that commitment to go to the wedding, to go shake hands, to go kiss babies, right? So first and foremost, you know, and I tell this to a lot of people, you know, that especially, you know, just finish college, right? And they ask, do you want to, you know, should I consider car business? And I'm like, listen, you know, it's the greatest business in the world for me. Everything I have is because of car business, right? Is it easy? No, but once you make a commitment to make a career out of it, it all makes perfect sense. You're willing to work the long hours. You're willing to do all the heavy lifting, you know. And I know Jim and I disagree on this because, you know, Jim has this theory that people need to be off on a weekend, you know. When I was selling cars, I was on 7 days a week. You know, nobody could tell me.
I'll never agree with that. Never agree with that.
Nobody would tell me.
I always created, when as a manager, I always created quality work schedules for people.
Right. I did not need any quality.
I force people to have a quality of life.
It actually depends on who you are, right? If you're a doer, meaning you can do things for yourself, you can generate your own business, you want to grow your machine, right? So I work maybe 4.5 days a week. I come in about, I don't know, Mayor, what time I get here? 10:30, and I leave at about 6 o'clock. I will stay later if I need to for customers and clients, but that's 4 days a week. Saturday, I'm in and out.
But you're delivering 6 and 8 cars a day, Frank.
Right, but what I'm saying, you have to get the machine rolling, right? People see that and like, well, that guy can do it. Why can't I do it, right? Well, that's that BS, like, hey, just take this pill and you become like ultra fit thing. It's not. You got to put in the work, right? So if you get your body to where it's your metabolism is firing, right? Your muscles are growing. Jim's got those, 29-inch pythons on his arm, right? And at that point, then you can pull back and just maintain it, okay, and still stay in great physical condition. It's the same thing with a sales job. Once you build the machine, you build that book of business, you put in the work, you just have to make a commitment.
You have to be a competitor,
yes.
Frank.
Yeah, but you have to make a commitment to yourself, Jim, for a time frame, right? So if it's with your spouse, your kids, yourself, whatever it is, you have to say self, okay, for the next 3 years, I'm going to commit to 50 weeks. I'm going to take my 2 weeks vacation, but for 50 weeks, I'm going to put in 6 days a week. I'm going to get this machine rolling. I'm going to get my business to where I can pull back after 3 years, get myself to 50 cars a month, right? That's when you have the machine firing. Too many people see that, oh man, Frank only works 4 days a week. He sold 154 cars in that month. I could do that just like he can, right? So it's a mix. If you have a doer, okay, that really wants to scale their business, you have to put the work in. I mean, you do. And there's ways that you don't have to work as hard. I'm not saying work 7 days a week, work bell to bell, you'll burn yourself out. But to work the schedule that a manager sets for you, if you're a doer, isn't going to work for me. I need to be able to come in when I need to, put in the extra work so I can keep the machine rolling. So eventually you can pull back and enjoy this lifestyle of 4.5 days a week, selling 100+ cars a month, or whatever the greatest version of whatever you want it to be at, right? So after 3 years, salesperson, Mr. Smith, Robert Smith says, after 3 years, I want to be at 45 cars a month. And after 3 years of putting in the work, I'm going to drop my schedule back from 6 days a week to 5 days a week. After
Let me
another
ask you a
year, I'm
question.
going to drop it down to 4 days a week.
On the screen, there's a guy that says, Gucci Cruz, that says, I watch your day in the life video at least one time a month. What is that?
I had a camera crew come in here and actually follow me around. So many people want to come. They're like, hey, man, do you mind if we just come hang out with you at the dealership? I'm like, listen, I don't think that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Not that I don't want to show anybody what I do, but I do work still for the Piazzas. I don't think they want other people sitting in the showroom. And it's like, you're not going to learn that much from what I'm doing anyway.
Where
just
can
watching
that video
me
be
from
found?
afar.
Where can that video be found?
I'll put the link in here. It's on YouTube, but I'll put the link in here. It's about 2 hours long. It's a documentary. It shows, how I went through with customers. It shows my day, a lot of my day going on, and how I handle things, processes. So I hired a film crew. They were here for 4 days. We had a great time, and just basically followed me around the entire time.
I'd like to see that. I haven't seen it personally. It's a day in the life with Frank Crinite. I'm sure I could Google that up and find it.
Yeah, it's got hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube.
Oh, it should have. April, what's shaking in the car business? What are you getting out of this?
Well, so, to Frank's point, I think the doers that are out there are automatically the career guys. So as Max said, yeah, you need the career mindset, and you need the doers. But as a manager, you have to accept that not everybody that we have work for us are going to be careers or doers, right? We're going to have these other people that we're going to have to hire. So we have to manage that kind of separately. The doers, they're going to go out and they're going to do, you don't have to give them a schedule. You can literally say, go sell cars and tell me what you need from me. But I think where this really starts, and this was something I realized early on because I, pride myself in being a doer, is you also have to be prideful in what you do. And I think a lot of times people first get into the car business and they're like, well, I don't want to go tell people I sell cars. Like, because it's not what people look at as a career, right? I think you have to change the script in that. We have to go out there and be, proud that I'm a car salesman. That's what I do, and I'm proud of it. So when I went out, everyone knew I sold cars, right? If I'm in the grocery store, they knew I sold cars. If I was at church, they knew I sold cars. If I was at a bar or a restaurant or anyone, everyone knew that I sold cars. Right?
My wife used to hate that. I mean, when I was dating my wife, I'd go to the movie theater. I'd like 2 tickets to Godfather 3. Yes, ma'am. When are you gonna buy your next car? I mean, I'm a little guy tearing tickets. Hey, son, when are you gonna buy your next car? I mean, and she got so that one line. When are you gonna buy your next car? Not would you like to buy a car? You're thinking about buying a car. That was my signature line. When are you gonna buy your next car?
Right. You got to be willing to talk to strangers, right? And you got to be willing to talk to strangers, not just in the walls of the dealership. You got to talk to strangers outside of the walls of the dealership, and you got to do that consistently. I mean, yeah, my poor husband had to deal with the fact that I would walk out of a dinner. Hey, I need to go take this call. It'll be 5 minutes. I'll be back. And I did that. And there was a lot of sacrifices you put in early on to then reap those rewards later
you look at a lot of super performer like Frank Crinite. I mean,
more importantly than just talking to them, right? Because we have a lot of conversations with people all day, right? And they tell us what they do, and we forget about it. The most important part is to stay in front of those people and connect with them, right? So if I meet you in person, I'm going to meet you on social media, so you feel like you're actually part of my daily life and my friend. So this is the part of social media that people just don't get.
Gather
right?
people.
You still have to gather people and be social. You have to give. You have to stay constantly in front of everybody so they know who you are, where you do it. And as soon as somebody thinks of a car, they think Frank Crinite. They don't think of who's that guy. I got that guy. He's right here, right? So, that's really what it's come down to at this point.
In the prosperity equation, I said gather people. And what I meant by gather people was, when you went to high school, maybe there were 600, 800 people in your graduating class, and you knew all of them. But through the years, those people disappeared. Through the years, those people went away, and you didn't keep them with you. So gather people. I think Frank's got a little business happening for a second. Max, what are you getting out of this conversation?
Well, listen, I'm the living proof of what Frank is saying, that in the beginning you have to work like crazy. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was a general manager in 2004, I had 4 days off because we were closed 4 days a year. There was Christmas, New Year's, Easter Sunday, and Thanksgiving. So I worked 363 days like a champ, bell to bell, and it was totally worth it. There's a book, I think, but I forgot the guy's name, that you got to do something for 10,000 hours before you are considered a professional, right? So no matter what it is, whether it's sports, music, management, right? If you do something for 10,000 hours, you become a pro. So you have to accumulate these 10,000 hours. And if you work 40 hours a week, it's going to take you a long, long time. So you have to be on the accelerated program. And now I'm 45 years old. I live half a year in Spain. I have half a year in the States. I do the same amount of business, maybe even more now, only because, I have this training that I can live in 2 time zones, right? And bring value, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many hours you work. The question is whether you can bring value. Right? Whether you bring value to the customers. In my case, now I work with dealers, whether I can bring value to dealers. Right? And if the answer is yes, then it doesn't matter where you are and whether you work 4 days a week or 4 minutes a week. But if the answer is no, you can work 100 hours a week and get nowhere regardless. So to me, the first step is make a commitment that this is your career. And like April said, don't be ashamed. Like if you speak to Brian Benstock, right, the way he introduces himself, he just says, I sell Hondas, right? He doesn't say that he, manages and he's a part owner of the #1 Honda dealership in the universe, right? He just says, I sell Hondas, and there's no shame in it.
Exactly. Max, when I interviewed with the Potamkins, the first time I went to the Potamkins, and this was a director, it was multiple dealerships, it was a big job. And I was eating dinner in a really upscale restaurant with Pat Domenicone, who was the managing general manager partner of the Atlanta platform. And he said, Ziegler, what makes you so good? I said, I can sell a car anywhere. And he said, you could sell a car in this restaurant. I said, absolutely. He said, do it. I got up and started walking table to table. Now here I am. I'm interviewing for a really upscale job. And he said to me, what makes you so great? I said, I can sell a car anywhere. And he said, sell a car in this restaurant. So I stood up and started to walk to another table. He said, oh, come back. Because I was going to go table to table till I sold a car. I can sell a car in an elevator. I mean, elevator, you have limited exposure to people. I was in an elevator with my wife about a week ago, and I about 10 people in the elevator, and just me clowning around. I said, I suppose you folks are wondering why I called this meeting, and they all start laughing. I guess you folks wonder why I called this meeting. Everybody's laughing. I can make contact with people and start a relationship. Not like Frank, I don't build the relationship. I can start a relationship in an elevator. I always in my prospecting classes, I always said I could sell a car to somebody I met in an elevator. It doesn't have to be that tall a building either. So Frank, what do you think?
If God came down and said, Frank, I can make you either the world's best salesperson or the world's best marketer, I would take marketer every single day, right? Because I'm not the, hey, just here's this pen, go sell this pen, kid type guy, right? So I'm here to really solve a problem. Make sure that we're doing the right thing for you, be transparent, give people information so they can actually make an educated decision rather than just be sold something.
Gather
and then
people.
After I earned the right, that I did the right thing for them, share it with the world, okay, and ask for referrals. And that's how I'm selling 100+ cars on average every single month. That's how I've grown my business every single year through every recession, 9/11, microchip, tsunami, stock market crash, housing market crash, whatever they say, the 7 or 12 plagues or however many there are coming, right? I still just put my peaky blinders on and go back to my people that I served, and they support me. So, if me and you were in the elevator, you'd probably outsell me in the elevator to start, and I would build that relationship with all those clients and all those customers that eventually become friends and
Exactly.
feel like family.
Gather people
It,
and
it,
keep them with
ga-
you.
gather people, and they sing your praises. So I don't have to sell all these cars. Everybody sells them for me, right? The whole world tells everybody how great of an experience they had. They've never ever would buy a car anywhere else. Like, man, we got to go see this person, right? So that's the way that I've been
They
doing it
become
for a long time.
ambassadors of you.
Frank's
Yes.
fans. That's what Frank's fans all about, right? You're one of Frank's
Yeah.
fans, so that's it.
Regardless
become
of what
ambassadors.
you sell, which is interesting. People will buy from a person over what brand you actually sell. That was something
Everybody buys from a person.
Mhm.
I can
When
buy
I
a
left
Honda
Toyota
anywhere. I don't
after
need Frank to
15
own a
years,
Honda.
you would have thought like people are so loyal to Toyota that I was going to lose all of those customers that I had all that time after 15 years with Toyota. And I didn't, because people were like, well, what do you sell now? Well, what's comparable to that? And shockingly enough, a lot of people will buy something else because they preferred working with the person over what the product even was. So
People
I
buy
think that
cars from a person. I don't need Frank to own a Honda. I don't need Frank Crinite to own a Honda, but I can only get Frank Crinite at one place.
yep.
That makes sense?
No, that's not true, Jim. I'm everywhere, man.
Oh,
So I come to you.
oh.
If you need a car, it doesn't matter if it's a Honda, a Maserati, a Mercedes, whatever. If I don't have one here in the 30 stores that we own that I can't refer you to, I mean, like, I'll tell you I can't do it. But for the most part, there's not many people I say no to. If I say the word no, it's usually immediately followed by the word problem. Okay, no problem, and then we just find a solution for it. So, um,
I love it.
whatever your next ride is, whether it's a Bentley convertible, the new GT, or whatever it is, I have a connection through everybody that I've made that I will be able to make sure that you're serviced with a red carpet in the right way. So you just let me know, and I'll make sure it's down there for the Dawg Pound.
How can they get in touch with you, Frank?
Well, if you don't know how to get in touch with me, then I am just not doing my job, right?
So I can
I'm
Google
everywhere,
Frank.
man.
I can Google Frank Crinite or Jim Ziegler
Frank's
or April
fans, who's
Simmons.
next? My phone number's everywhere, 484-368-9000. People call and they're like, oh my God, it really is you. I'm like, yeah, it's me. I don't
Yeah.
salespeople. So, I'm everywhere.
You sell 100 cars a month, 150 cars a month because you have such a large personal staff, correct?
So yeah, actually, did you ever see the movie Minions? I actually have about 87 minions that work here for me. It's great. So yes, so my teammates, not my staff, have made my life a lot easier. So I have Marianne. She was sent here from God. Say hi, Marianne.
Hey,
Say
Marianne.
hi, Justin. There's Justin. Say hi, Justin.
Hey, Justin. How you doing?
Justin, it's actually Buddy the Elf. He acts like Buddy the Elf all day. He's got. So yes, they helped me out immensely. But you know what I did, Jim, is that I had a really big ego years ago, and had to figure out how to sell 100 cars a month all by myself. And I got there, and I did it for years, and I probably took years off my life by doing it that way. And then I got with the one person who was actually selling more cars than me at that point, and became great friends with them, the Ali Rita. And he said, dude, what are you doing? You're going to burn yourself out. I said, I know, man, but I just had to do it. Like, I had to get to 100 cars, and it's booming right now. I said, I can handle it. He goes, well, what's the next step? I said, I'm just going to keep growing. He goes, no, you're going to die. You're going to die doing it this way.
Frank.
Yeah.
That was you, the competitor.
That was me, the competitor. So I got there, and now, about 2 years, I picked up Justin, Marianne. Without these guys, I'd probably leave the car business at this point. So, they're keeping me young and keeping me healthy. That's what it's all about. So that's why I keep serving as many people as possible.
So you're working 5 days a week. You've got it pretty well
Four
under
or 4.5.
control.
Yeah, 4.5.
See,
But you know what, Jim? I don't have to be here, right? The get them into the showroom anymore is not the way you do business. Go get control. Go get control of what? There's nothing to control, right? So me, control is giving people all the information. I could text you, inbox you, FaceTime you from anywhere in the world. I could be in Alaska. I could be in Spain. I could be in Africa. I could be in Atlanta. I can be anywhere and still put up these numbers, right? Because actually selling a car doesn't have to be a physical event. It just needs to be information so people can make an educated decision and then say, yes, most people do their test drives online, YouTube, looking at things, laying in bed, dreaming about what their next car is, or they already have the brand and know what they want. So
technology changed everything.
Well, it did. And salespeople and sales managers and dealerships still put up these obstacles, right, to make it so that they can get control, right, so that they can force somebody through a process that has been archaic for years. And I know not everybody, believes in this or supports this, but you need to change or you just get ran over by that train that's coming.
I used to teach process. I haven't taught process.
Sure.
In years.
There has to be a process, but it doesn't have to be the one that's.
But I'm talking about hardcore management process. I haven't taught that in years. There's a video online right now with me that I wish they'd take down. I don't own that video, and somebody's got it up. I was teaching the Foursquare 20 years ago, and that video is still online. I actually wish that video was gone.
Foursquare is fine. Just send it to everybody. Just give them the information. The number one thing that people say, right, when they don't want to make a decision, I need to think about it, right? Well, what if I gave you all the information when you were at home, so that when you came into the dealership, you've already thought about it, right? You just reverse engineer the whole process, right? So reverse engineer it, give them the information while they're here and put pressure on them to have to make a decision. Well, how about I give you all the information while you're at home or at work so you can make an educated decision with all the decision makers, so that when you're here, there's no decision to make besides, yes, this is what I want to do, because you're already here and you've already had all the information. I know it's mind-blowing just to reverse engiger the process and give people that power to actually make their own decisions without forcing
nobody believes
pressure. Hey, the more that the car business keeps doing it that way, it just all funnels to me. So I love it. So don't tell anybody what I just told you, please. Keep it low.
No.
I hope this video gets like 4 views. I'm not kidding.
I know we'll probably get a couple more than 4. April, what are you getting?
I don't want people watching.
It goes against the grain of most people. People have asked me forever how I sell cars, because I'm honest and straightforward, and they're like, you don't even seem like a person who can do that. But it's doing exactly what you just said, Frank. It's just and what's interesting is I've always had hardcore managers that had this box that said you had to do it a certain way, and I just found ways to kind of work within the box to do it my own way.
April, we all used to do it that way.
Right?
Everybody used to do it that way.
But I don't think everyone did. I didn't. I feel like I've always done it the way people do it now. It's really about building relationships, listening to your customers, and then turning around and helping them through the process, whatever that process may be. And it's different for everybody. Right? Like some people need more information. Some people don't. Some people need to be told what to do. Other people know exactly what they want to do. So I think, if we just go back to the old school, listen to our customers, they'll tell us what they need. And then you just adhere to that. It's really not that difficult. We just, as now managers and marketers, we have to bring up that next generation of salespeople to show them what we've already all learned. And that's how to truly not sell a car, but build a relationship where people buy cars. You're not selling anymore.
Frank said the answer a minute ago, and the answer is no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
The answer is no matter what the question is.
Yep. No problem.
No problem.
Yep.
I'll get you all the information you need to make an intelligent, informed decision with no pressure to buy whatsoever. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? I'll give you all. People don't want to be unfair. If I tell a customer, is that fair? And they'll say, yeah, that's fair. Okay. Then you have to buy in. all the information you need to make an intelligent, informed decision. No pressure whatsoever. And that this man sells 100 cars a month, starting with that philosophy.
Yep.
Whatever you need, any information you need, you want to think about it at home. Am I
Now,
wrong,
listen,
Frank?
you're not just this machine that spits out information. You're also a sales professional. I mean, you need to be able to guide people, explain to them. So as salespeople, we sometimes have this common misconception that people actually know how to buy things, right? So we think they know how to negotiate and they know how to buy things, and a lot of times they don't. So yeah, you need to, walk them through, what's true out there on the internet, what everybody on social media is telling them. So it's just like if you go on social media and say, hey, I got this little problem in my side, you know what I mean? What do you think it could be, right? I got this pressure in my side of my gut. Well, you'll have 3,700 different answers, and probably all 3,700 of them are wrong. That's why that doctor went to 12 years of medical school at continuous education, right? So I'm going to refer to my doctor for medical advice. I'm going to refer to my accountant for anything that I need for business, or, when it comes to numbers. I'm going to refer to my lawyer when it comes to anything legal. And if there's, if you're an actual sales professional, when it comes to buying something, if people trust and you deliver for them, then they're going to treat you the same way, right? This is how you get rid of that negative connotation of salesperson, right? You become a sales professional because you give everybody the right information, not just something to sell your product. There's plenty of times, just yesterday and a couple times last week, that I educated somebody and I educated myself out of a sale because that was the right thing to do. It wasn't the right thing for them to do. Now, they're an adult and they can make an educated decision. They don't have to take my advice. They can say yes to the numbers I'm proposing to them. But to me, it wouldn't have been the right thing to do not to give them all the information so that they get to make that decision, right? Not that I put them in a bad position, because 2 years down the road or a year down the road, when they go to get out of that car, they'll remember, man, Frank did tell me this was going to happen in this scenario. So that's what distinguishes a salesperson from an actual sales professional, right? So, that's
how many of your
where you're at.
customers do you refer business to?
A lot, because I find out what they all do for a living so that I can get inside their circles, promote them, right? Who else would you rather send business to? Somebody that you just sold you something, or somebody that you feel like is your friend and supports your business, right? Reciprocal business, that's what it's called. So I reciprocate a lot of business. People who do business with me and do business the right way, more importantly, get my business and they get my referrals, right? I don't refer people for a trinket, meaning I don't refer somebody if you're going to give me something back. I refer to you because you're the best at what you do, either in the area or in the world. And like, I know you're going to treat my customers, my clients, my friends the right way when I send them to you, right? So that's the way I've done business my whole life, and that's paying dividends right now.
I have, like you, I've interacted with hundreds of thousands of salespeople through the years, and so many don't know what their customers do.
Nobody.
They don't know about their customers' business. And
you know what the biggest telltale sign of a salesperson didn't do a great job, right, is when the customer walks in the next day with their title or an extra key or the check, right, and they walk up to you and they say, I'm here to drop off whatever it is, and you say, great, who was your salesperson? Short guy, blonde hair. Great. You just wasted 4 to 6 hours of your own time to sell a car, right? That's winning with addition. You're trying to sell one. You never get to the multiplication stage of the math, right? So multiplication is that person remembers who you are. They refer you business. You're inside their circles. You're sharing your power of influence with their circles. Like, they're never going to get there. So, those people that come for a summer job, or they say they're here for this or what, and they end up being here for 18 years and never get past that 12 to 14 car a month that they even get there, have been wasting a lot of time. They've been lying to themselves, telling them they've been working hard, because it's hard work, but they actually haven't been working the right way. They haven't been putting the hard work in the right way. If they did, they wouldn't still be selling that many cars, and they wouldn't still be lying to themselves that they're doing hard work. They're actually doing the service to themselves, the dealership, the management, the customer base, their family. They're the people that shouldn't be in the car business, right? So I would want to hire somebody that wants this to be a career, that wants to share that with their network, right? That has no sales experience at all, but the willingness to learn and to share what they're doing with the world because they love what they do and they're doing it the right way, right? I don't
You
need
know,
a
Frank,
bunch of hired
I knew one of the previous world record salespeople in a brand. When I was a manager in Atlanta, an old man came out of retirement. He was in his 60s at the time. His name was Irving Silver. He was the #1 Nash Rambler salesman in history. So more Nash Ramblers than anybody. He came out of retirement and sold 500 Jaguars in 3 years. And the president of Jaguar flew over from England and gave him a big ass trophy. And I asked Irving, I said, Irving, how did you sell so many cars? And here's Frank. He said, I was memorable. Right. I mean, that was his. He said, people remembered me. Frank, are you memorable?
It's more important. If I'm not, then I'm doing it the wrong way, right? So everybody remembers my big goofy thumb when they come in, we do the pose. Everybody remembers who's next because we do little videos with the who's next. I'm outside in the lot for a minute. People drive by beeping, yelling, "Who's next?" out the window. You know what I mean? So yes, I'm memorable, but I can't rely on that I'm memorable. I have to keep pouring that into the community. So many of us get to a certain level and then we pull back, right? We've made it. We start smelling ourselves, right? You get to that Rocky 3 where he's dancing around with the robot and like he's enjoying his millions of dollars and everything. And that's when you have actually not arrived. You have actually failed, right? You're failing yourself. You're failing becoming the greatest version of yourself. Most people never get to that point and keep pushing so they can step through that threshold to find out actually what they can achieve, right? So if I just sit back and say, yes, everybody knows me, everybody's knowing what I do right now, business is going to come to me. I don't have to talk to new customers. I don't have to promote myself anymore. I got so much repeat referral business, book of business. I end up dying, right? Or I end up not ever finding out what I actually could have done in my lifetime, how many people I could have influenced or helped in my lifetime. So yeah, I guess I'm popular, but I'm never satisfied.
Influence.
Right? So,
Influence is so important. You know, Irving Silver, I was in the hospice when he died. He was 97 years old. And the doctor walked in the room, and Irving Silver, 97 years old, on his deathbed, he said, "What do you drive, Doc?" What do you drive, Doc? I mean, he's on his deathbed. Unbelievable. Max, jump in a second.
Well, listen, everything that Frank is saying is accurate, you know, but again, I don't think most people can process what he's saying, you know, because if it was easy, everybody would be right. I know, but I'm saying like, everybody would be selling cars.
That's why we formed.
They're never going to get it.
Pinnacle. That's why we formed the Pinnacle Society. So we have a society of high performers, right?
Working with high performers.
Where do you go, right? If you're a high performer, everybody usually leaves you alone. This is the part that I'm talking about stepping through that threshold of like you're doing enough, right? So the people that are crushing it in the car business, right? Everybody leaves them alone. The top performers in the dealership, meaning they don't need training, meaning they don't need to know anything because those guys have it figured out. Those girls have it figured out. They're selling more cars than anybody else. Well, that's fine. And people start smelling themselves. They start reading their own press clippings. But then there's a lot of people who know there's another level, right? They just don't know how to get there, right? So who can teach me how to get there? A manager who sold only 20 some cars and never did any of the social media marketing, they can only get me so far, right? Who else can get me there? A salesperson who's selling the same amount of cars than me, that's going through the same issues? No, somebody that sold more cars than anybody in the history of the car business, and surrounding myself with people of like-minded that, you know, our motto is, oh, great, you sold 154. You know what? Everybody in my group will ask me, why so low, right? And it's true. Why didn't I sell 200 that month? And I came back and went through and reverse engineered it and figured out why I didn't sell 200 that month, right?
Every
So
super performer could do better.
well, everybody could always do better, right? But most people lie to themselves and tell them that, yeah, I did a great job. Attaboy, man.
People are in
I
their
love it.
comfort zones. Five-car Fred is five-car Fred in his head.
All right.
You know,
Well,
five-car Fred.
Cup should never be full. You should always be filling it, right? Like you should never hit a point. I had a conversation with one of my general managers early this morning because he's at that spot, Frank, where he's trying to, he wants to push to that next threshold, and he's at the top of his game, and nobody else is having those conversations of actually going even further. And I said, you know what it is? I said, there's these invisible fences out there that we all think that we're not supposed to go past, right? Like we were trained growing up that you work this many years and then you retire and you do things a certain way. And we all have this like ingrained in us. And we have to drop that invisible fence and say, look, there is no fence. There's nothing holding you in. The only thing that's holding you in is what's right here inside your head. That's it. Nothing else holds you back. And so I think that that's something that high performers definitely do, but we need motivation amongst other people who feel that way as much as, the other guys that we're trying to pull up, right? We need those people around us to help us, sustain and keep growing as well.
So anyway, I used to teach classes and I would have 30 people in the room and I'd say, only 10 of you are going to get what I'm about to say. Only, 20 of you are here because somebody made you be here. And if I knew which ones you were, I'd throw you out right now. But since I don't know which ones are going to get it, I have to keep everybody in the class. And it's a matter of the super performers, the Frank Criniti's of this world, gather people. They keep those people to them. You don't, like your high school graduating class, the people drifted away and evaporated. You don't let your customers ever drift away and evaporate. You keep them with you.
Yep.
You have to have a retro budget. I tell managers, now this is going to management again, you have to have a retro budget to advertise to past customers. And you have to have your BDC working past customers, your salespeople. Some of them are great at follow-up. I mean, Frank is a king of follow-up, but still in all, there are people that never follow up. And Max brought it up earlier. He said, until they decide to be a career. If I were a manager today in a dealership, I would forbid people to have a side hustle. The car business is your hustle. If you want to be a multi-marketing, multi-level marketing, you want to go do that, go do that. Yeah, fine. Yeah, but you're not going to do that and divide your attention. You can make more money selling cars basically than any profession, a side job you could possibly have. Let's concentrate on you being a better producer. That's what I would talk to my people about. Right. So Max, what's your take on that?
So a side hustle only makes sense when you work at DMV, right? When you have you have a fixed salary and you need a side hustle. Car business does not have a fixed salary. Your earning potential is just bananas, right? It's entirely up to you. Right? You can be Frank or you can be 5-car Freddy, right? It's entirely up to you. And I see the same thing in my business. There are people that make a lot of money and they know what they're doing, and there are a lot of clueless people that have no idea what they're doing. So I guess it's no different.
Well, Frank jumped out for a second because he's actually working right now. He's selling cars while we're doing this broadcast. I mean, how do you get Frank's time? I mean, this guy's selling 8 cars a day. And most people, there are people out there struggling to sell 8 cars a month.
That's right.
And the man sold 92 cars last month. He generated 15 cars that the dealership bought. I mean, and there's people out there that would love to sell 8 cars in a month. Excuse me?
You say 8 cars a day?
Yeah, aren't you selling 8 cars a day?
If you work on an average 24 days and you sell 8 cars a month, you failed 16 days or something like that. Like, why would you go in somewhere not to sell something? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me, right? So
Well, because they tell you when they hire you, right, that you add.
I wish I worked with Frank. I wish I was 30
know,
years old again, and I worked with Frank, because I'd go after Frank. I always looked at the top guy in the dealership. I'm gonna pattern myself after the role models, the mentors. I mean, if I worked with Frank, it would cause me to sell that many units.
Yeah. When I was younger, like I would get pushed. I mean, I've never lost a month since I started in the whole dealership ever, right? So first full month I sold 18 cars. I never lost a month since, but like at some point you get to the point where you don't even know who your competition is. Like you're just growing your business and helping your people, and like your competition's worried about you. So they're the ones, the horses in the race that don't have the peaky blinders on. They're the ones that are getting mud kicked in their face and worry about the horses that are running around them rather than worried about the race and running through the finish line.
Only one sled dog has a view. Only one sled dog has a view. What are the other sled dogs looking at?
That's right.
Well, Frank, I will tell you, this has been one of the most inspiring conversations on the show in a really long time. I really, people have listened to you.
April, you're my new favorite April.
There's a few of us out there. But I'm just honestly, like, genuinely, I think everything you said came across exactly who you are, which is genuine and just shows why you're selling what you're selling, which is being a person and caring about people first, and everything else just comes if you put the hard work. You know, it's effort and attitude.
This is the greatest industry in the world that somebody can get into, and they're mistaken if they think they need this like guru sales background. You don't need to be, the greatest salesperson. I could teach you how to sell a product, right? Anybody can learn product knowledge, right? You just need to be a people person, have a positive attitude every day, and truly care about what you do and the people that that you're serving. And that's really it. There is nothing else. That's the secret sauce. Okay, that's the formula to becoming the greatest version of yourself. That's the formula to being very successful in this business. And this business you can be very successful at without any type of education or even knowing anybody in the area. You don't have to be a popular person. I can teach you how to become the most popular person. People say, well, what if I dropped you? Well, you're in Philadelphia. I'm not in Philadelphia. I'm 30 miles or 20 miles away from Philadelphia, and like 6% of my business comes from Philadelphia, and it's from West Philadelphia, not from like the Philadelphia that everybody thinks that it is. So I'm in a suburb. I'm not in the middle of like this huge city and like business is just flowing to me. So you could drop me off in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and I will show you how I become the most popular person in that area in 2 months, 3 months tops, 90 days. I will be the most known car salesperson helping people solve their problems in that area.
So Frank, I have a question. How do you handle F&I products? Do you do it, or do you have an F&I on your team?
So I actually have Tyler right now is my F&I guy on team, 24 years old, super hungry, wants to learn. I know all my products inside and out. Again, Max, because I'm a sales professional. So if I buy a car, I buy just about every product that we sell because I believe in them myself, right? That's the first thing. You actually have to believe in the product that you sell. And then most of my customers I have such a great relationship with. I know how they bought their last 6, 7 cars. So I just structure everything the same way. So there isn't, I'll put it this way. So if you go through, I went through years ago to figure out what my sales process was going to be. I'm trying to figure out a better way to do things, right? Because I'm banging my head against the wall, stuck at 50 cars a month. And I'm like, I know there's a better way to do things. So I went through every single survey that I got in the last 2 years. Hundreds of surveys went through. And it wasn't as easy back in the day to see all your surveys. You had to go through them all individually. And the 2 biggest things that kept popping up every single time were time to complete the transaction, okay, and not being given all the information up front, meaning like I had to make a decision about a warranty or a tire and wheel product. I should have been given that before I had to go sit in the finance office. So I figured out a way to take all the speed bumps out of my process to be able to speed it up from, back then, 3 hours to getting under 2 hours. Now we're, 45 minutes to an hour tops. But I learned all my product so that I was able to present my product security guard. If your car's stolen and not recovered, we pay your deductible up to $1,000. Plus, they give you a check for $5,000 over and above whatever your insurance company gives to me, right? So I go from personal experiences and be able to sell with a story. I've had 2 cars stolen, right?
Your products.
You learn your products, right? I had a Mercedes that I didn't buy a warranty on. It ended up costing me like $4,200 back in the day when I probably didn't have $4,200. So, even the mechanics nowadays buy the warranty because you don't fix anything on these cars. Everything's replaced, right? There is no get in there with the wrench.
Oh, modular. Everything's modular.
Right. It's a computer. It's a sensor. So I'm able to lay everything out for everybody so that there is no surprises.
Frank,
so
we just ran out of time, big guy.
Speeds up the process.
We just burned an hour, big guy. I could burn 5 hours with you. Frank Crinite, one of the top salesmen in history, personal friend of mine, and actually one of my heroes.
Man, you guys are like, you're giving me the chills today.
Yeah, well, hey, I don't have a whole lot of heroes. I'm a hero to some people, but you are my hero. So what the heck? April Simmons, Max Zanan, everybody wave goodbye to the audience.